Tony Kornheiser, that's too bad. Those camels were hot.
Okay, this has got to be fake news.
No.
I mean, camels in a what kind of stupid beauty contest?
I'm going to tell you
would
something,
camels
Wilbon.
be in?
I have in my life done something I know you haven't done.
What?
I have petted 2 camels. I went to a live nativity on Christmas Eve and petted 2 camels. Have you ever done that?
I petted 1 in North Africa about 6 or 7 years ago.
Yeah. 2 in Bethesda.
I don't.
2 camels.
I don't believe it.
Dorset Lane.
I need video evidence.
Welcome to PTI, boys and girls. In today's episode, I don't do Instagram. LeBron congratulates himself. J.J. Barea goes after John Wall. And could the Cowboys say see you to Des Bryant? But we begin today with a report by Adrian Wojnarowski that the spiraling Cleveland Cavaliers have landed on Kevin Love as the blame for everything that's going wrong. Oh, and Isaiah Thomas and Tyronn Lue and the new GM and the owner. The only person not to blame is Jim Brown. The Kevin Love stuff centers on some teammates' doubt that Love was really sick the other day when he left the arena at halftime of the game against Oklahoma City. Wilbon, is Kevin Love the problem on the Cavs?
No. The Cavaliers have 1,000 problems, and if you want to make Kevin Love one of them, or like 1/2 of one problem, fine. But, I mean, Tony, there's not going to be a quick identification here or a quick fix. There's this report out there that they're trying to perhaps trade for George Hill, who's a good, catch-and-shoot three-point guy now. George Hill's not going to solve everything that's wrong with the Cavaliers having lost whatever it is, 9 out of 12, and giving up a $150 to Oklahoma City. No, Kevin Love didn't do all that.
If you don't like Kevin Love, trade Kevin Love. I'm sure Kevin Love would be happy to leave because next year in Cleveland, this is where they're going to be. They're going to be in last place because LeBron is going to leave that team. If you don't want Tyronn Lue, fire Tyronn Lue so he can get his name out there for Milwaukee so that he doesn't end up in Cleveland at 22-60. At some point, the Cleveland Cavaliers have to understand they don't have that much that brings anybody back in a trade. Maybe I think Kevin Love does. Maybe Isaiah Thomas.
The pick.
Everybody else 100 years old. 100 years old. Can't do it.
Brooklyn's pick can fetch them a little bit, but if you don't know where LeBron James is going to be, you have no guarantee. If I'm the owner, I'm probably not trading that pick. But, Tony, they keep seeming to me from the outside to look for easy answers, easy, quick fixes. There aren't any. And this goes back to the problem with that team right now. Playing defense is hard, and they don't seem to want to do it. So if it's a hard problem to fix, no, let's just go blame. So let's lay a finger on somebody and point there. And I'm going to tell you, I told you this all last year, and you poo-pooed me. Not having David Griffin there as GM hurts that team.
Maybe it does.
Because he understood the owner, he understood LeBron, he understood the league, and they don't have him to help.
Here's something you say all the time, that old teams win championships.
They do.
The problem is when you have to remake an old team, and you have Derrick Rose, and you have Dwayne Wade, and you have Kyle Korver, and you have J.R. Smith, and you can't get anything for them.
Like, well, they got to play. You got to get them to do it. That's why you got them.
There's a limited pool of people that can bring you players, and Kevin Love is the pool. He's the pool.
Well, he better not be the problem if he's the pool. If he's going to be what he's the problem and the solution is what you're telling me?
Works out.
The second story is otherworldly. Because no one from Jack Johnson to Babe Ruth to Ali to Michael Jordan ever did this. Let's listen to LeBron James congratulate himself on Instagram on something he hasn't yet even accomplished, scoring his 30,000th point. He'll do it tonight. Quote, "Want to be one of the first to congratulate you on this accomplishment. The house you're about to be part of has only 6 seats in it. You should be very proud and honored to be invited inside. Congratulations again, young king. Hashtag strive for greatness. Hashtag the kid from Akron." Close quote. Tony, you always defend millennials. Tell us what that all meant.
I don't even know what millennials are. I'm just dismissing that. I have no idea what is the borderline for millennials.
Under 40. Let's just go with that for a rule of thumb.
This is unbelievable. It's unbelievable that he would publicly congratulate himself like this and refer to himself as young king. And then in the body of this, explain that he should enjoy this moment privately and be humble, and then do it publicly, where you can't possibly be humble. This is the first time since the decision where he went out there and he went, not 2, not 3, not 4, not 5. This is the first time that I think LeBron James has been utterly tone deaf and self-absorbed, and this is hard to believe, right?
Okay. It's so hard for me to believe I don't believe it. because LeBron James is not tone deaf, because LeBron, as you and I have agreed on this on the air many times when it comes to serious issues in particular.
He's very good.
He's tuned in.
Yes.
He's on it. He's on the right side of all the big stuff. LeBron's a thinker. All right? I mean, he sits around and he ponders this stuff. And so I believe somebody else has his Instagram account. When I say somebody else,
you think it's hacked?
No.
Because he ought to get out there right now and claim, I got hacked. I didn't do this.
It could be one of his people. It could be somebody in his camp.
They're not helping him.
Charged with the responsibility of dealing with his Instagram, and they got a little ahead of themselves.
Do you think it's possible?
I don't believe LeBron did this. I don't believe it.
Do you think it's possible Kevin Durant did it from his fake account?
No.
Do you think that's possible? Because LeBron looks, as we would agree, very bad on this one.
Tony, you know I get on millennials. This is a generation where all they want to do is this all the time.
Yeah.
And tell you what they look like and sound like and congratulate themselves and break their arms patting themselves on the back. LeBron James isn't that guy. I don't believe that came from LeBron, his fingers.
You know what it sounds like?
I don't believe it.
It sounds like LeVar Ball, not LeBron James.
Not LeBron. I don't believe it.
Good.
I don't.
As the Washington Wizards were on their way to yet another bad loss to another bad team last night, Dallas, John Wall and J.J. Barea got into it. Afterwards, the 6'4" Wall said of the generously listed 6-foot Barea, quote, just a little midget trying to get mad. I don't pay him no mind, unquote. To which Barea responded, quote, now I have somebody in the NBA that I don't like. That's my first. I don't like him at all now. But I don't think his teammates like him either, so it's nothing new for him, unquote. Wilbon, is this a cheap shot or is this an issue for the Wizards?
It's not. It's neither. It's not a cheap shot. It's not an issue for the Wizards. Look, the Wizards have a whole bunch of issues too, like Cleveland, except without the championship and 2 other trips to the finals. So 3 other trips to the finals.
Except for that.
They don't have, except for that.
Except for winning.
They got issues, but it's not Barea versus Wall. That is some good old-fashioned NBA trash talking that I like. It's not self-indulgent. It's going at the other guy.
Yeah.
They can say whatever they want about each other. That stuff's innocent and inconsequential.
The Washington Post has not yet reported that John Wall's teammates have any particular problem with him. But worse for the team, John Wall's teammates have problems with each other. They had a players-only meeting the other day.
How'd that go? How'd that meeting go?
And afterwards, both Wall and Bradley Beal came out and said, you know what? It's worse now than before we walked into the meeting. That's consequential. John Wall is an excellent player, but, and there is a but here, he's faster than everybody else. He's not really an other player first kind of player. And the only people they have that are doing anything at all are Wall and Beal. Their front court is terrible.
Okay, but
Otto
now
Porter
you're
is
getting
averaging
to the
9
issues.
points a game in January.
Okay, so
he's getting
those
$25
are the
million.
issues, not what J.J. Barea said. I'm going to bring up a name for you.
Go ahead.
Okay? I'm going to mention the greatest Washington basketball team of all time. All right? And that would be back-to-back seasons, 78, 79.
Wes Unseld, Elvin Hayes.
Elvin Hayes.
Right, yes.
How many of his teammates liked him and wanted to hug him up?
You don't have to. You don't have to.
You don't. That's my point.
If you win. If you don't win.
So their problem is not winning. It's not about J.J. Barea saying his teammates don't like him.
I don't care about J.J. Barea.
Exactly.
He doesn't know
That's my point.
He doesn't know what's going on in Washington. But what's going on in Washington is not good at the moment.
It's not.
Because they don't like each other.
Separate issues is not good because they're not winning. Let's go to what has to be a bigger story in Dallas, one involving Dez Bryant. The Cowboys now have to figure out what to do with him after a rather blah season. Stephen Jones felt the need to say of his star wideout, quote, sometimes his sideline behavior can be a distraction. And when you get paid that kind of money, there's high expectations in terms of productivity. Those are all things we have to look at when we start to put together our team for next year, close quote. Tony, doesn't this sound like Dez Bryant has 1 foot out the door?
You got me yelling and screaming, so I'm coughing again. What it sounds like is that they're hedging their bets. And they're saying, if we can see the Dez Bryant, who got 1,000 yards and 14 touchdowns on a regular basis, then we can tolerate sideline antics. But if we're seeing a guy who's getting 700 or 800 yards and 6 or 7 touchdowns, we can get that guy and get that behavior on the sidelines a lot cheaper. Right.
Yeah.
A lot cheaper than Dez Bryant. So I think they're setting this whole thing up. Their problem is, it seems to me, Dak Prescott does not have a relationship with Dez Bryant that Tony Romo did. Dak Prescott goes to the tight end or goes to the slot receiver. And so
hands it off.
Yeah, so right, to Ezekiel Elliott. So if Dez Bryant isn't your featured guy, then you don't have to pay him that kind of money, right?
Tony, you can get rid of him. You can watch him go somewhere else like the Chicago Bears did. Alshon Jeffrey catch a pass to help him get his team in the Super Bowl. So NFL teams are arrogant and often stupid about these things because they can get rid of people because they regret the contracts they signed you to 4 minutes ago. They regret them. They don't have to stick to them. They don't have to be of their word. They can just say, you know what? It's too much money for a guy ranting and raving. Get out. They do this every year. All teams, including the great teams like New England, they do this, Tony, and there's no accountability whatsoever.
But Matt Ryan always looks for Julio Jones. And Ben Roethlisberger always looks for Antonio
Brown. Those guys
are
younger, and they are with their quarterback.
And Aaron Rodgers always, who's he looking for? Jordy Nelson, okay? Because you have a relationship. Dak Prescott basically just got there. He does not have that rapport just yet.
So you want to get rid of Dez Bryant, really?
I don't.
Dez Bryant can't help somebody else next year?
I don't.
And I'm not even a Dez Bryant guy.
I don't want to get rid of him.
I think he's overrated and great. If you can be both those things, overstated often, you can be.
No, you can't be that. The Cleveland Browns have the #1 pick in the NFL draft, and they need a quarterback. Josh Rosen of UCLA has reportedly made it known he'd prefer not to go to Cleveland. Sam Darnold of USC rather, has been lukewarm about Cleveland, but Josh Allen of Wyoming wants Cleveland. Allen told 92.3 The Fan in Cleveland, quote, I wouldn't want to be the guy that turns around the Cleveland Browns. The guy that does that is going to be immortalized in Cleveland forever, unquote, which is true. Wilbon, is this a wise ambition for Mr. Allen?
Yes, of course it is, Tony. Look, I mean, I can't think of many cities that if you are great there, your life is made forever and ever more. I mean, when I see Jim Brown come to a Cavaliers game and people literally bow down before him, and that's the great Jim Brown.
Yes.
But even Bernie Kosar, Tony, remember when Bernie Kosar, who's from Northeast Ohio, said, I want to go to Cleveland.
This is absolutely the right call as Bernie Kosar. I think it was a supplemental draft. And I think he might be from Boardman, Ohio, or something like that. And he said, give me Cleveland, and they loved him. If this kid says, give me Cleveland, it is an unbelievable hot mess in Cleveland. Their coach is 1-31. They turn over coaches. They turn over GMs. They turn over special assistants. Their ownership has not been good and has had no patience. If this kid goes there and is good, he owns it. He owns it. He walks on the lake.
You got to look no further than LeBron. Now, of course, he's one of the 5 greatest players maybe ever, but we don't know what this kid's going to be. You don't have to be that great. If you go there and win, you get it turned, you get to the playoffs.
Yes.
Tony, if you go and do that, look, Bernie Kosar still is celebrated when he walks around Cleveland. I know because they just did it in the World Series last year. There's a new
offensive coordinator, Todd Haley. If he works with this kid and it's good,
that might not
all they got to win is 5 games, and he's gone.
Not 5, but if he gets to the playoffs.
Mike, the coach is 1-31.
Well, yeah.
Let's take a break. Coming up, the top college basketball player in the country says he's going to play different starting tonight. Is that a good idea?
Yeah, get those turnovers down. Is Steph Curry really changing the way young players are shaping their games? We're going to ask Tom Crean.
What are millennials by your definition?
Under 4.
So just get back to playing even more explosive, give it up a little bit quicker, go somewhere on those first couple of dribbles. But at the end of the day, you can't take his confidence, and he's got a fearlessness and an absolute just belief in himself and his teammates that's incredible. And you don't want that to go anywhere. So harnessing it a little bit, but really, really letting him feel like he can control the game with his vision.
Tom, whenever you watch this kid now, somebody is comparing him to a young Steph Curry, and you see so many high school and young players out there now. Is there that kind of effect? Does Curry have that kind of effect on kids coming into college and young kids now in terms of the way they play or try to?
Oh, I don't think there's any doubt. Everybody wants to. We had drills that were Steph Curry type drills with lateral dribbling and creating space. And you know what it does? It makes people play quicker. And they want to get the ball off quicker. Now, a lot of people want to emulate Steph Curry. A lot of people want to be like him, steal ideas from him. But there's no doubt Trae Young is the closest thing to it that I've seen because it's just uncanny. His ability to play off either foot, use either hand, absolutely. You drop your hands a little bit, and he gets that shot off so quick, and he surprises you with how sudden he can shoot it. I mean, so of all the guys that have come through since Steph Curry, he's the closest to it without a doubt in my mind.
Tom, I want to broaden this out a little bit and look at sort of a trend. A lot of ranked teams have lost this season already to unranked teams. What is that saying to you about this season? And as you look ahead a little bit, does it suggest anything about the tournament?
It suggests that it's going to be wide open, and there's going to be some very surprised teams, I think, once you get not only to the field of 32, but the Sweet 16. And there'll be surprises, and it really shouldn't surprise anybody this year because it is really hard to win on the road anywhere that you go. You get a road win right now, that's like double. I know it counts a little over 1 in the RPI, but it's like getting double, especially in a league like this. Big 12 is a great example. Early in the season, there were 6 teams that were winning by the scoring margin was over 10 points a game. Now, West Virginia is sitting about 7. Everybody else is sitting between 2 and a little bit under in the minus area. And this is a great league. Winning games, close games, is going to be the great separator right now. And I think we could name all kinds of leagues that are in that same boat. There's some really efficient teams like Villanova, Purdue, Michigan State can hit that. I think Kansas is hitting that. But there's also a lot of teams that are going to get better. And I think when we watch Oklahoma right now, they had a little bit of a lull last week because Trae Young probably tried to do too much. They didn't get the ball moving. He had the turnovers. They get back to playing the way that they're capable of. They're another team that's going to rise right back up. And this, I know they're already ranked in the top 15. But I think it's going to be a lot of fun. The rest of January and February is going to be wild.
Okay, so this is terribly unfair, but we're going to ask you this question anyway and get you out of here on this. Bearing in mind everything you have said and the volatility of the season this year, give us 4 teams that you think are just a little bit ahead of the others.
4 teams. Start with Villanova. Go to Purdue. Right now, I'm going to jump with Kansas because of the senior guards. I think that they are, and then I think the way that they're playing right now out west, I'm going to go with Gonzaga. I think Gonzaga is playing well. Rui Hachimura is on a roll. He's shooting in league. He's darn near 80% in the league right now, coming off the bench. They've got a leader in Josh Perkins. So those would be my 4 right off the top of my head that I would run with.
Well, luckily we have a couple of months left. You don't have to worry right now. Thank you, Tom, for being with us.
Exactly. That is 4 right there. Thanks a lot, Tom.
Thank you.
Let's take one last break, but still to come. Alex Rodriguez becomes an ESPN colleague. Is Wilbon still going to rip him?
Oh, come on now. Come on. And is Roger Federer a lock to win his 20th Grand Slam years after Tony Kornheiser said he's a bum, he's done?
I did, and I copped to that, whereas you're going to say that you were with Alex Rodriguez the whole way, which we know.
Most of the way.
Most of the way.
Most of the way.
Not all of the way.
With him now, with him lately, within the last 3 years, right?
You trashed him for 2 years.
Media Party.
Happy time, people. Happy 23rd birthday, J.T. Barrett. The 12th-year quarterback at The Ohio State University finally ran out of eligibility. Long after Kirk Herbstreit and Terrell Pryor and Braxton Miller and Cardale Jones moved on, Barrett remained. As a starter, Barrett was 38-6, passed for about 9,500 yards, ran for about 3,300 yards, accounted for 147 touchdowns. Mike, that's a great career.
Tony, it is a great career, and it's a batch of quarterbacks that together seem like they were around for like 6 or 7 years. I know it wasn't that long, but seems like it.
Happy anniversary, Klay Thompson. On this day 3 years ago, the Warriors' third option set the NBA record for the most points in a quarter, dropping 37 in the third on the Kings. You think about that for a second. 37 points in 1 quarter. Thompson currently leads the league in three-point shooting at a career high 45.3%.
I think Klay Thompson's underused, but Tony, Steve Kerr, on many fewer shots in 1995, hit 52% of his three-pointers. I thought today's players were supposed to be so much better shooting threes. Kerr was better.
Happy trails, Salah Mejri, third-year reserve center on the Dallas Mavericks, ejected from last night's game against the Wizards for arguing too long with a referee. On Mejri's way out, Kelly Oubre made fun of him. More importantly, his own coach, Rick Carlisle, looked at him in disbelief and said, quote, "You scored bleeping 2 points. Get the bleep out of here," unquote.
I wonder if Carlisle ever got tossed from a game as a player, particularly in his time with the Celtics. I wonder about
Big finish quickly. Alex Rodriguez joining ESPN for Sunday Night Baseball. Your thoughts?
He's been great on television. He's going to continue to be great. I'm glad it's going to be for us, Tony. Rafael Nadal is out of the Aussie Open after retiring in the quarters. Federer's tournament to lose now?
Oh, I think so, don't you? I think so, yes. DeMarcus Cousins, 44 points, 24 rebounds, 10 assists. Double OT win over your Bulls. You watched it defend your team.
We blew an 18-point lead in the fourth quarter. It's inexcusable. First guy since Kareem, though, to go 40, 20, and 10. Kobe got an Oscar nomination for a short film, Dear Basketball. Will Kobe win?
If he does, he'll be the tallest Oscar winner ever. I think these are animated shorts. What do I know from them? Last one. Patriots wore white in the Super Bowl. Is that a good decision?
12 of the last 13 teams that wore white reportedly have won.
Yeah.
It's a jersey, as I tell Matthew. Who cares?
We're out of time. We'll try and do better the next time. I'm Tony Kornheiser.
I'm Mike Wilbon. Same time tomorrow, Knuckleheads. You can get the PTI podcast on the ESPN app or Apple Podcast.
Michael Theobald, shout out. Thanks so much for watching.